What are the classifications of firearms?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I can tell the member is that Bill 21 addresses a number of concerns that we've heard from all Canadians, but it is to ensure that...
I wonder if he's getting past a note right now with them. Without looking at that note, what are the classifications for firearms in Canada? He's a public...
The Honourable Minister.
Restricted, non-restricted, and prohibited, Mr. Speaker.
Oh my goodness. Mr. Speaker, this is the Public Safety Minister. Somebody passed him a note with those classifications. Does the Public Safety Minister not know the classifications of firearms?
CommonSenseLoonie, that's my tune, bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.
Welcome everyone, it's Rex here with another CommonSenseLoonie, and boy do we have a full plate of news in front of us. First of all, to the person who sent me a message accusing me of being AI, I'd just like to say, huh? Anyways, as you can hear today, I seem to have caught a bit of a cold, so clearly not AI. Okay, let's get down to it. The Liberal Party had a bad day, and that's an understatement. We'll start off with Prime Minister Mark Carney.
We have breaking news now into our newsroom that the Prime Minister's office has now officially released a statement announcing that Canada is recognizing a Palestinian state. We are getting the details now as I speak to you. Just a part of the statement that the Prime Minister has issued this morning says over many decades, Canada's commitment to this goal was premised on the expectation that this outcome would be eventually achieved as part of a negotiated settlement. Regrettably, this possibility has been steadily and gravely eroded. He's talking about the relationship, obviously, between Israel and Palestine. Again, forgiving me, I'm just reading this as we get this statement. Prime Minister Carney goes on to say, recognizing the state of Palestine, led by the Palestinian Authority, empowers those who seek peaceful coexistence at the end of Hamas. This in no way legitimizes terrorism, nor is it any reward for it. Furthermore, it in no way compromises Canada's steadfast support for the state of Israel, its people, and their security. Security can only ultimately be guaranteed through the achievement of a comprehensive two-state solution.
Canada just became the first G7 nation to recognize Palestine as a state. Let's unpack this mess. Back in July, Carney himself said the conditions for Palestinian self-determination do not exist at present. You know, stuff like Hamas disarming, no more rocket parties, hostages being released, and actual democratic elections. Palestine? Crickets. Zero progress. But hey, why let facts get in the way of a good virtue signaling?
It's come now. Speak to us about the significance of this moment.
Well, I think that it's the last part of that sentence that's the most important at this moment, because the timing of it can be a little bit perplexing when you look at the fact that we're heading towards the second anniversary of Hamas's absolutely brutal terrorist attack on Israeli citizens, many of whom are still held hostages there. And there's been no discussion of this in Parliament. It's just an announcement by the government on its own.
Carney drops his bombshell with zero parliamentary vote. No consultations with MPs, nothing. The backlash. Oh, it's glorious. Canada's Jewish community is fuming. Groups like B'nai B'rith are calling it a slap in the face that emboldens Hamas terrorists fresh off their October 7 massacre. This rewards jihad, they say. And who can blame them? Even Donald Trump piled on, tweeting that this stunt makes a Canada-US trade deal very hard. Israel's foreign ministry? They're livid, labeling it a reward for October 7th fruit. Carney sure's got a habit of running this country like a kingdom. One thing's for sure, trade deal happening soon? Not likely. All right, next. I thought I was done covering the Liberal Minister of Public Safety, but nope. He's back in the spotlight. We covered him in a previous episode about the gun buyback program and how he clearly was not the right man for the job. So if you missed our episode a couple of days back, quick recap. Gary Anandasangaree, who I'm just going to refer to as Gary for obvious reasons. He's the Liberal Minister of Public Safety, because apparently public safety means making sure your tax dollars vanish into thin air. Gary is the guy spearheading this Trudeau-era gun buyback fiasco. Remember? The one where they're supposed to pay folks to hand over their assault-style rifles, all in the name of keeping us safe from, I don't know, rogue moose or something? Let's break it down for the newbies in the back. Back in 2020, after the horrific Nova Scotia shooting, the Liberals banned about 1,500 models of semi-automatic firearms. We're talking your AR-15s, your hunting rifles that look a little too tactical for their liking. Fast forward to now, they've tacked on another 500 or so, bringing it to over 2,000 prohibited makes and models. So what's the plan? A mandatory buyback program where owners get compensated. Eventually. There's an amnesty period that's been dragging on since 2020 to keep everyone out of jail while they figure out the logistics. Sounds straightforward, right? Wrong. This thing's been a black hole for cash. As of this spring, the government's blown through over $400 million on setup, IT systems, and compensating businesses first. And what do we have to show for it? Businesses have turned in a whopping 12,000 guns. That's it. The next phase is supposed to roll out this week, apparently, but good luck. It's voluntary in practice, mandatory in name only. Total results? Zilch on curbing crime. Why? Because duh. Most gun violence in Canada involves smuggling illegal handguns from the US, not some rural hunter's grandpa's deer rifle. The Liberals always used the tragic trio of mass shootings to justify this mess. École Polytechnique in 1989, Moncton in 2014, Nova Scotia in 2020. Emotional, sure. But let's call the bluff. First, Polytechnique. The killer used a Ruger Mini 14, which is now banned anyway, so buyback wouldn't have touched it. Moncton, illegally obtained shotgun and rifle. Nova Scotia, smuggled illegal pistols. None of these would have been stopped by prying legal guns from law-abiding hands. It's theater, folks, not policy. And speaking of rural folks, come on, why are we demonizing hunters and farmers who need these for wildlife defense or putting food on the table? Black bears don't care about your feelings on assault weapons. Taking their guns, zero impact on urban crime, but it'll sure tick off everyone from Alberta ranchers to Indigenous communities who rely on hunting. Look, the real crime wave. It's our weak justice system. The Conservatives have been hammering this. Bailout after a day, slaps on the wrist for repeat offenders. What's the deterrent? People know they can shoot up a block and be back on the street by lunch. Fix that, and then watch crime drop. Which brings us to Gary's latest oopsie-daisy. Picture this. Our Minister of Public Safety, the guy running this whole gun buyback circus, is chit-chatting with his tenant. Yeah, apparently he's a landlord on the side. This tenant, who's got 2 perfectly legal firearms, records the conversation and boom, leaks it to the press.
Well, this recording, Donna, was made by a tenant of a property that Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangaree owns in Toronto. The tenant had called Anandasangaree about a landlord-tenant issue, but then the tenant says Anandasangaree brought up the government's gun control plan.
I'm going to tell you something else. You may not be happy with it. We're launching a gun buyback plan.
Anandasangaree and his tenant have known each other for a while. The tenant legally owns an assault rifle that will soon be banned by Ottawa. Ottawa expects gun owners to sell their freshly banned guns to the government. The tenant says he does not want to sell, and in the recording he provided to Global News and others, he tries to convince Anandasangaree to scrap the policy. Anandasangaree says he cannot.
This is the mandate I was given by Carney to complete this.
He says one of the reasons the Liberals cannot change, they need votes from Quebec.
Right, and this is something that very much a big deal for many of the Quebec electorate that voted for us.
And then he tells his tenant he would have done things differently.
If I were to redo this from scratch, right, I would have a very different approach.
And what does Gary say in this recording? He admits the whole enforcement thing is a fantasy. I doubt very much it's going to go that far, he says. Municipal police do not have the resources. Then get this, he offers to personally bail out his tenant if the guy gets in hot water for keeping his guns. And when asked if he could do it all over, I would have a very different approach. Sounds like Gary's secretly sipping the Conservative Kool-Aid, doesn't it? My dude's out here running the show, but whispering, yeah, this is a mess. Talk about a plot twist. Our minister's playing both sides while the ship sinks. And so, after that, Gary did not have a great day at question period.
The Liberals are setting criminals free. They're wasting money. They are targeting sports shooters and recreational shooters who abide by the law. The Liberals have increased firearm-related crime by 30%. That we already knew. Yet the Minister of Public Safety accidentally revealed the truth and was recorded doing so. He said that confiscating the firearms of law-abiding firearm owners was a waste of money. Does the Prime Minister agree with his minister?
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday I had a conversation with an individual that I've known for many years who recorded it without my knowledge and had it leaked to a gun lobbyist. In that conversation, Mr. Speaker, the subject of the assault-style firearms buyback compensation program was discussed. In trying to address this issue, Mr. Speaker, the individual's frustration, my comments were misguided. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it's important to have the program in place. Is what Canadians are looking for. And I do want to note that the Leader of the Opposition has voted against every single gun measure.
Yeah, he's not getting much applause from his own party. Poilievre goes back on the attack.
By freeing rampant gun criminals and wasting billions of dollars of police and border resources targeting law-abiding, licensed, trained and tested firearms owners, this government has overseen a 130% increase in violent gun crime. But over the weekend, the Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money, that it will go over budget, and it would be better just to lock up the criminals, but that they're going ahead with the bad policy because it's good politics. Does the Prime Minister agree?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing there's a recording of it so that Canadians can have a look for themselves. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting. And they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets?
Gary says it's a good thing there's a recording of it so Canadians can have a look for themselves. Then he recites the 3 mass shootings, which we did have a look at for ourselves, and debunked. Keep on digging, Gary.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said that his gun grab won't work, that it will go over budget, and that it would be better to lock up criminals, as Conservatives have been suggesting, but that they're going ahead with the gun grab anyway because the Prime Minister wants to pursue electoral politics. Electoral politics, Mr. Speaker. When a mother is hit with a stray bullet, or a police officer is murdered by a firearm, or a bullet flies into a child's bedroom as part of an extortion case, we don't have time for politics. So why is this minister caught on tape playing politics with guns?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, in order to have a real conversation about crime, we need to have a real conversation about guns. Canadians want responsible gun control, Mr. Speaker. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting, and they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets, and why has this Leader of the Opposition voted against every single gun control measure that he has been in Parliament for?
To be honest with you, this goes on and on, but Gary just goes on about the same talking points and notes that he's gotten angry messages on social media about the program. Well, Gary, I think I'd be more concerned with the conversation you're going to have with Carney when he gets back. And if you thought Gary's demolition in question period was bad, buckle up, folks. Next up is Lena Metlege Diab, our shiny new Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. She's been in the hot seat since getting the gig, and yesterday's question period, oh man, the Conservatives turned her into a piñata. They hammered her on everything from organized crime sneaking in via student visas to her so-called record back in Nova Scotia. Let's roll the tape on how it went down, because this is peak Liberal incompetence theater.
Mr. Speaker, there's been a shocking revelation from Radio-Canada. Members of organized crime groups are entering Canada on student permits in order to get rich through fraud, car theft, identity theft, and more. Once again, instead of taking responsibility, the Department of Immigration is burying its head in the sand. In the department's response to the news story, IRCC blamed universities, even though this is exclusively a federal government responsibility to screen people entering Canada, including screening international students. The Department of Immigration is responsible for this. When will it get to work and fight organized crime instead of blaming universities, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Canadians gave us the mandate to restore the International Student Program and to bring our levels back to reasonable levels, and that's what we are doing. According to the latest numbers, there's been a decrease of 144,000 study permits granted. We want to protect foreign students and protect Canada as well. Thank you.
So we start off with reports that organized crime rings are waltzing into Canada on student visas, raking in cash from car thefts, identity scams, you name it. And what does Lena say back? She rattles off some mandate mumbo-jumbo about restoring the student program, brags about dropping study permits by 144,000, and vaguely promises to protect students and Canada. No mention of the crime rings, no plan to fix the screening mess, just platitudes. Sounds like she's reading from a Liberal talking points bingo card. Weak sauce, Lena. But wait, it gets spicier. A Conservative MP jumps in, accusing her of letting fraud run wild through shady immigration consultants who are messing up the system.
Since the minister was appointed, many more people have been abused and defrauded by Canadian immigration consultants who contribute to the chaos in Canada's immigration system while the minister just lets them. Instead of taking advice experts have been giving for years, which is to make immigration consultants report to lawyers, the minister said, "This is fine," this summer, and doubled down on a system that is clearly not working. The Prime Minister chose an incompetent minister to sit in one of the most important files in government. Why?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Prime Minister for choosing me to be the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Very proud of my record when I served as Nova Scotia's Minister of Immigration. Protecting prospective newcomers from those who try to take advantage of them is critically important, and that is why we've established the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants to regulate consultants and protect the public, and this is something that we are very serious about, and we will ensure that it gets done.
Response? She pats herself on the back for her Nova Scotia days, saying she's very proud, and they've set up some college to protect newcomers. No addressing the fraud, no owning the chaos. And oh boy, the knockout punch comes from the MP for Calgary Nose Hill, who digs up dirt from Lena's old provincial gig as Nova Scotia's immigration minister from 2013 to 2021.
The minister mentioned her record as immigration minister in a provincial government. During that time, a Nova Scotia auditor found that there were the following issues: no process to determine provincial labour market needs and assess whether those were being addressed by Nova Scotia's Provincial Nominee Program, and none of the 8 recommendations from a 2020 fraud risk assessment had been implemented. So I'll ask the same question. Why did the Prime Minister put an incompetent minister into this position?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, I want to thank the Prime Minister. In fact, I want to thank the people in Halifax West for electing me to this Parliament. I am here to do the best job I possibly can do with my experience, with my expertise, and with my love for Canada and love for Canadians. And we will continue to do that. As for my record as Minister of Immigration from 2013 to 2021, provincially, the record is clear. I would invite parliamentarians to go look at it. Thank you very much.
She quotes a Nova Scotia auditor's report slamming her. No process whatsoever to figure out the province's labour market needs or check if the Provincial Nominee Program was actually filling them. Just winging it on who gets in. And a 2020 fraud risk assessment? 8 recommendation to plug holes and stop scams. None implemented under her watch. 0. Zilch. And Lena's response, more thanks to the Prime Minister and her Halifax voters, vague boasts about her experience and love for Canada, and an invite to go look at the record. They did, Lena. That's the problem. Almost feel bad for Mark Carney. Almost. The Liberals seem to have quite the party going on these days. Is anyone qualified for their jobs? I mean, between Gary whispering one thing in private and doing another in public, and Lena's just trust me bro vibe on immigration, it's like they're casting from the B-team bench. Billions wasted, borders a mess, and crimes on the rise. Thanks, Trudeau 2.0. Stay tuned, because if this is their fresh start, we're all in trouble. And that's it. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Sounds like we could have a very interesting week. I wonder which Liberal is going to implode next. Carney, everyone warned you about this. Picking out the same team as Trudeau and saying it's a new government is just plain foolishness, and nobody's buying it. Anyways, we're off. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, please like and subscribe. Remember to stay strong, stay skeptical, and above all else, stay loony.
I'm here to cut through the haze, no disguise. Gonna open your eyes to politicians' lies. Canada's great, but led by wackos, it's true. Time for no nonsense, me and you. I'm the CommonSenseLoonie, hear my call. Ditch bingo night games, we'll fix it all. CommonSenseLoonie, that's my tune. Bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.